Good morning, dear students. This is Maheshwari Goswami. I am your SS teacher. Today we are going to begin our history chapter number 5th, the Mughal Empire, whichever started from 1526 to last date 1707. Dear students, in this chapter we will study about the Mughal Empire, how the Mughal Empire started and from when it will start, and after that when it was finished. All that thing we will discuss in this chapter. In this class, we will discuss about Babar, who ever ruled from 1526 to 1530, and Humayun, who ever ruled from 1530 to 1540. After that, another one came to rule, and after that, from 1555 to 1556, he had to rule. After that, Sur Empire is also there between here, 1540 to 1555. Sur Empire came to rule here, and in this one, Sesa ruled from 1540 to 1545, and after that, Akbar ruled from 1556 to 1605. All that thing we will study in this class about the Mughal Empire, how the Mughal Empire came to rule and how they started their rule. Dear students, let's start this chapter with page number 32, chapter number 5, history portion. This one is. In chapter 3rd, you studied that Babar defeated the last Lodi ruler, Ibrahim Lodi, in 1526 and established the Mughal Empire. Dear students, already we studied about that thing in chapter number 3rd. Means before the last chapter we already discussed about that thing. Mughal Empire came to rule after defeating the Ibrahim Lodi in 1526. In chapter 4, you studied about some powerful regional kingdoms which had emerged in the 15th century due to decline in the power of the sultanates. We already discussed about Bahmani Empire, Vijayanagar Empire. All that thing is already discussed in our last class. And students, now we can conclude that though Babar had occupied the throne of Delhi, finally that Delhi's rules is came to in Delhi came to rule by Babar, because he started to rule at that place. He had to check the increasing power of the regional kingdoms in order to expand the Mughal Empire. Means on that time he started to expand his empire in all over the India. He want to rule all over the India. Because of that, he start to rule on Delhi. In this chapter, you will study about the 200-year long rule of the Mughal emperors. Dear students, if we talk about the Mughal Empire, then we can say that it's nearby 200 years. Means that started from 1526 to 1707. Means nearby lump sum 200 years ruled by him. So we can say that it is a great time period. In this chapter, you will study about the 200 years long rule of the Mughal emperors, their administration, how they ruled, what is the administration system, what is the economic condition, what is the social policies, what is the patronization, art and architecture. All that thing we will discuss in this chapter about Mughal Empire. Whenever Mughal Empire came to rule, then which type of changes take place in India, in administration system, which type of changes take place. All that thing we will discuss in this chapter. Dear students, let's begin this chapter with ruler Babar, which start their rule from 1526 to 1530, means nearby 4 years he ruled. Babar was the founder and the first emperor of the Mughal dynasty. It is an important question. If anyone asks you about the Mughal dynasty, then you can say that Babar was the founder of the Mughal dynasty or first emperor of the Mughal dynasty. He ruled Fargana. He ruled Fargana in Central Asia at the time when the Lodi kings were ruling over the Delhi Sultanate. Means when the Lodi kings were ruling all over the Sultanate, then on that time he was at Fargana, means at the part of the Central Asia. The local ruler invited Babar to come to India and defeat the Lodis, because they already clashed by Lodis and they want to get rid of Lodis, so they called to Babar to come to India for ruling. Babar had heard a lot about the favored wealth of Hindustan and thought that it was a good opportunity to expand his kingdom. Babar already know that Hindustan had a great fable of the wealth. On that time, India is known as the golden bird. You already know that. Because of that, Babar is also attracted by them, and he thought that it is the good opportunity to expand his kingdom. So he came to India for rule, and nearby 4 years he ruled here. Important battles. The Battle of Panipat in 1526 was the most significant battle for Babar, as it paved the path of laying the foundation of the Mughal Empire. In 1526, a battle was happened, which were known as the Battle of Panipat, that Babar met Ibrahim Lodi in the battlefield of Panipat for the first time. That Battle of Panipat first is fought between Babar and Ibrahim Lodi. First time on that time, Babar made to Ibrahim Lodi. Who was Ibrahim Lodi? He already knew about him. He listened about that thing. But on that time, in the first battle of Panipat, he made to him. The Lodi army was many times bigger than that of the Babars. When he look out at the Babar's army or Lodi's army, then Babar's also get confused. Too much large army Lodi's have. Babar, however, had a battle-hardened cavalry and an efficient artillery, but he defeated Ibrahim Lodi and conquered Delhi and Agra. Lodi's had too much large army than Babar, but then also Babar defeated Ibrahim Lodi and conquered Delhi and Agra, both places. The next year he defeated Rana Sanga of Mewar at Khanwa, Battle of Khanwa. He defeated Rana Sanga also. 2 years later he defeated the Afghan chiefs at Ghangra. These three battles secured Babar's position in northern India. After defeating three rulers, after getting victory in three for war, he take place his position in northern India, and finally he known as the emperor in northern India part. He was too much famous on that time in northern India. Now we'll talk about achievements, whichever achievements he take place. Babar was a brilliant general. He was also an accomplished poet and writer. Babar was a poet also and writer also. He liked to write. He liked to write poems and something. His autobiography is called Tuzuke Babri or Babarnama. His autobiography is also written by him. We know that autobiography means life history is written by any ruler or any person, that is known as autobiography, and his autobiography is known as Tuzuke Babri or Babarnama. In it, Babar has described the physical features, climate, animals, birds, flowers, fruits, and the life of the people and the places he visited. Means all that thing about the Indias he visited, whichever place he visited, whichever condition he mentioned in his life, all that thing he already mentioned in Babarnama. He has also written about his own life in detail. He mentioned about every moment of his life in that autobiography. After Babar, one most important ruler came to rule. That name is Humayun from 1530 to 1540. After that, 1555 to 1556. Babar was succeeded by his eldest son Humayun. Humayun was a Babar's eldest son, and he came to rule after the death of Babar. The other son of the Babar was Kamran, Hindal, Askari were given charge of smaller areas. That also got a small area charge, but Humayun was a big one, so he got a complete India charge on that time. After that, important challenges. When Humayun became emperor, many difficulties were already waiting for him, because he know that his father fought many type of wars and battles, so he have to also face that type of condition in his life. So he wait for that thing, and that type of difficulties waits for him. First, the kingdom was still without a proper system of administration. He know that there is no any type of administration system is being there, so he have to start an administration system, proper administration system he want. Second, Humayun's brothers were dissatisfied with the territories that they had been given, because his brothers are also not satisfied, because they know that Humayun had given complete whole over the India, and his brothers get only a small kingdoms or something like that, so they are also not satisfied with him. Third, the kingdom was under threat from all sides. Means the kingdom was fully covered with the Rajputs, rulers and something like that. The Rajput Bahadur Shah, the ruler of Gujarat, and the Afghans were preparing to fight with Humayun. Who? Bahadur Shah, the ruler of Gujarat, and the Afghans were preparing to fight with Humayun, because they know that it is a great time to fight with him, because his father was died on that time and he is not efficient for fight with Bahadur Shah and Afghan rulers. Sher Shah, the Afghan king, had established a powerful kingdom in eastern India and wanted to expand it towards northern India. Sher Shah wanted to capture the northern India also, because he already have eastern India part, and Sher Shah was a Afghan king. After that, important battles. In 1532, Humayun and Sher Shah met on the battlefield for the first time. Humayun won and captured the fort of Chunar. In 1532, who fight? Humayun and Sher Shah. And on that battle, Humayun won that fight, and after that he captured the fort of Chunar. In 1534, Humayun defeated Bahadur Shah. In 1534, Humayun defeated Bahadur Shah and captured Gujarat and Malwa also. He is also like his father. In every battle he won. However, Humayun did not have time to build upon his victories. Sher Shah regrouped and defeated Humayun at Chausa in 1539 and Kannauj in 1540, because whenever Sher Shah got defeated from Humayun, then on that time he didn't sat silently, because he started to grouping his army, and finally he defeated Humayun in the Chausa and Kannauj battle also. He chased Humayun out of his kingdom. Humayun escaped to Persia and spent the next 15 years in exile. Humayun escaped to Persia and he had to spend 15 years in exile, means he had to spend 15 years beside of the iron bar. During this time, the Sur Empire under Sher Shah resigned supreme in India. His complete name is Sher Shah Suri, and Suri means that the empire is known as Sur Empire. And on that time, dear students, already this is mentioned here, 1530 to 1540. After that, 1555 to 1556. Because after 1540, Humayun was sent to exile in Persia. Means he had to get kept beside of the iron bar for 15 years for exile. You can watch that 15 years time period is being mentioned here. And on that time, Sur Empire came to rule. In 1555, Humayun returned to India. Sher Shah had died and the Sur Empire had become weak. In 1555, Humayun returned to India and Sher Shah died on that time. And Humayun know that on that time Sur Empire became weak. Humayun fought and recaptured the territories he had lost. Whatever he lost before going to exile, all he started to recapture, becoming the Mughal ruler once again. Shortly afterwards, he fell from the steps of his library in Sher Mandal in Purana Killa and died a few days later. How's his death? Becoming the Mughal ruler once again, shortly afterwards, he fell from the steps of his library. He has a library also, already we discussed about that. His great patronage about his writer also, his poet also, so he usually use libraries. And on that time, whenever he is coming from the library's steps, and on that time he fell down and finally he died on that time in Sher Mandal, known as the Purana Killa. He was succeeded by his son Akbar. After his death, Akbar came to rule the Sur Empire 1540 to 1555. The Sur dynasty was founded by Sher Shah Suri himself, but he was the first and last important ruler of this dynasty. Sher Shah Suri was first and last ruler of the Sur Empire, who ever ruled from 1540 to 1555. Now, dear students, we will talk about Sher Shah from 1540 to 1545. Sher Shah's father, dear students, here one mistake is being given. 1545 is written, but you have to write here 1555, because of that 15 years ruling is being here, so you have to mention here 1555 only, because that rule is from 1540 to 1555 only. He was managing his father's jagir efficiently, but quarrels with his stepmother forced him to seek employment under the ruler of Bihar. His real name was Farid Khan. Sher Shah's real name was Farid Khan. He was given the title of Sher after the killed tiger. On becoming the king, he began to be called Sher Shah, because once a time he killed a Sher, means tiger. Because of that name, he had got a Sher title is been there, and after that he is known as Sher Shah Suri. On becoming the king, he began to be called Sher Shah. At that time, he was a minor. Minor means below 18 years. Below 18 years, if any person is there, he is known as minor only. After that, he will be mature or something like that. Later, he himself became the ruler and laid the foundation of Sur dynasty. Sher Shah was a very ambitious man. Within a few years, he raised a large army and became powerful in the regions covered by the present-day states of Bihar, Jharkhand, and West Bengal. He defeated Humayun twice and occupied Delhi. How many times? Twice. We already know that in Chausa battle, also in Kannauj also. Twice he defeated Humayun and he occupied Delhi. Thereafter he annexed territories in the north and organized the administration of his empire. Unfortunately, he ruled for a very brief period. He died in 1545 or 1555 and it was buried at Sasaram. Sasaram is a place in Bihar. He buried at their place only. Achievements. Sher Shah was not only a good general but also an efficient administrator. He reformed the civil, military and the land revenue administration. He introduced a new currency. A silver coin is called rupiah. On that time, Sher Shah Suri's time, that type of currency came to use, that's known as silver currency and known as rupiah. He also reduced the custom duties and built an excellent networks of roads, including the Grand Trunk Road, GT Road, that's known as GT Road, that's also made by him only. He made that type of road. All these measures encouraged the trade. Said Shah followed a policy of religious tolerance. He respected all religions. Dear students, he respected all religions and looked after the welfare of his subjects. He is often regarded as the forerunner of Akbar. Means whatever the dream of the Akbar, he always think about that thing. Said Shah was succeeded by Islam Shah. After Sher Shah's death, Islam Shah came to rule. He could not build upon the work of Sher Shah. Humayun defeated Islam Shah in 1545, occupied Delhi and ended the rule of the Surs. 1540 to 1545 ruled by Sher Shah. After death of the Sher Shah, Islam Shah came to rule, and finally after in 1555 when Humayun came to India, started to fight with the Islam Shah and finally defeated Islam Shah and started to rule in 1555. And we know that 1555 to 1556 he is ruled by Humayun only. After that 1556 to 1605 ruled by Akbar. That's already mentioned in your textbook only. Akbar was perhaps the ablest of all Mughal emperors. He is also considered the one of the best rulers of India. If we talk about the best rulers of India, then Akbar name is also there. He brought glory of the empire and is called as the Akbar the Great. Like Ashoka the Great, that's Akbar is also known as the Great. Expansion of his empire, how that empire is going to be expansion. Akbar became king in 1556 when he was only 13 years old. Bairam Khan was appointed as Akbar's regent. Soon after coming to power, Akbar defeated Hemu, the general of the Afghan forces, and in the second battle of Panipat. In second battle of Panipat, he defeated Hemu. A few years later, he entered the regency of Bairam Khan and took over the government. Then he conquered Gwalior, Ajmer and Jaunpur in 1561 and he annexed Malwa. Means he started to annex, he started to capture all that places. Akbar wanted a friendly relation with the Rajputs. He wanted to capture friendly relation with Rajputs. He allowed many rulers to rule peacefully. He attacked only those rulers who did not recognize Mughal authority. However, he fought against those Rajput rulers who opposed him. If any Rajput ruler opposed him, then he fought with him. In 1568, he conquered Chittor and Ranthambore. He defeated Rana Pratap of Mewar in the Battle of Haldigati in 1576. He defeated Maharana Pratap in Mewar in Battle of Haldigati in 1576. Akbar built a vast empire. He conquered Gujarat in the west and Bengal and parts of the Odisha in the east. He also annexed large parts of Central Asia. In the northwest, he added Kashmir, Sindh, Kabul and Kanandar. In the Deccan, he brought Berar, Khandes and parts of the Ahmednagar under his control. Means he started to annex the whole over the India because he want to rule all over the India. Akbar's policy, which type of policies Akbar started to use? Akbar's most of the policies intended to bring peace and prosperity in the empire. Because he want peace in his empire, we get important information from Akbarnama. Akbarnama is a autobiography of the Akbar. In that also written about the Akbar's life history. Policy of friendly relation with the Rajput. Akbar made the Rajput strong supporters of the Mughals. He tried to gain their loyalty in many ways. How? Akbar defeated the Rajputs but did not humiliate them. Akbar defeated the Rajputs but did not humiliate them. He treated them very honorably. Because if you defeat any person, then you start to humiliate him. You start to tease him, but he didn't do like that. He started to treat with them honorably. He allowed most Rajput kings to continue ruling over the territories. After defeating them also, he told to them, you can continue your rule over your territories. That's no problem. He did not interfere in their internal matters. Akbar made matrimonial alliance with the Rajput families. Means Akbar started to make that type of relation with the Rajput families, like matrimonial relation also they can make place. He himself married a Rajput princess called Jodhabai. Means Akbar also married with the Rajput princess known as Jodhabai. His sons also took Rajput princess as their wives. The Rajput ladies were given complete religious freedom. Akbar gave high post to Rajput chiefs in his administration. Raja Man Singh, Raja Birbal, two of his most trusted officials were Rajputs. Means he gave a higher post to Rajput rulers. Policy of religious tolerance. Akbar followed the path of religious tolerance. Religion was treated as an individual's private affair. People had the freedom to worship as they liked. Means however you live to like, that type of life you can live. Akbar adopted numerous measures to show his secular spirit. Akbar abolished the pilgrim tax in 1562 and jizya in 1564, which for long had been opposed by the Hindus. Akbar abolished the practice of forcibly converting prisoners of war to Islam. Akbar allowed them and sometimes even encouraged the Hindus to build temples. He also gave grants to many temples. He gave permission to make temples. Akbar allowed and sometimes when even encouraged the Hindu to build temples, and he also gave grants to many temples. Akbar participated in Hindu festivals such as Holi, Diwali and Raksha Bandhan. Akbar got the holy books of the Hindus translated into Persian. Akbar was not educated, but he had a great desire for learning. He wanted to know more about different languages. He liked to learn different languages. He built the Ibadat Khana. Ibadat Khana means hall of worship where you can pray. At Fatehpur Sikri, that's known as Buland Darwaja. He held debates and discussion with the religious teachers of all the religions. On that place, he started to take a meeting with the all type of religious teachers and all religions teachers. He take discuss about on that place like Fatehpur Sikri, Buland Darwaza. After that, we will talk about Dine-e-Ilahi. Dear students, Dine-e-Ilahi, after interacting with people of different religions for many years, Akbar concluded that all religions preach the message of love, respect and peace. He told to people like that all of the religions give a message of love, respect and peace. Then why we couldn't follow only one religion, that is the common ideas for the all religions, and could be combined to form a new creed? People of his empire would benefit from it. Therefore, he suggested a religious path called Dine-e-Ilahi or divine monotheism, called religion of one God. He also declared himself as the spiritual guides of his subjects. Dine-e-Ilahi advocated for the worship of one God. Means he told like that, or God is only one and we have to follow only him. We don't have to diverse with another religion or another God, something like that. The practice of worshipping the sun, fire and other sources of the light was an important element in it. Through it, Akbar also discouraged the killing of animals, and the custom of Sati Sulikul, universal peace or peace with all, was another important principle. Akbar's Dine-e-Ilahi unity in a country of diverse religions. Some historians say that Dine-e-Ilahi was very similar at Ashoka's policy of Dhamma. It is the very important point is here, means we can compare Akbar with Ashoka. Because of that, Dine-e-Ilahi, whichever type of the speciality is being in Dine-e-Ilahi, that is the same of Dhamma only. Since Dine-e-Ilahi was not a new religion, people who joined it has to follow the new rituals. It was only a code of moral conduct. Very few people accepted it. Raja Birbal was one of the few who did. Others, such as Raja Man Singh, openly disapproved of it. Akbar never forced anyone to follow it. One important thing is here also, Akbar never forced anyone to follow Dine-e-Ilahi or never forced to anyone to follow Islam religion. Dine-e-Ilahi faded out after Akbar, but his secular ideas were followed by his son. Dear students, this chapter is about the Mughal Empire, how Mughal Empire is started from 1526 and how it's ended in 1707. In this chapter we already discussed about Babar, who ruled from 1526 to 1530. He is the most and great important person who ever founder of the Mughal Empire in starting Mughal Empire after 1526 to 1530. He ruled. After Babar, Humayun came to rule from 1530 to 1540, and after that 1555 to 1556, because in 1540 he was defeated by Sher Suri, and for 15 years he sent to exile in Persia. After that 1540 to 1545 Sher was ruled, and after 1545 Sher died in his library only because of the falling down from his steps of the library. And after that 1545, whenever his son came to rule, Islam Shah, he ruled from 1545 to 1555. After that Humayun returned to India, and after that he fight with Islam Shah, and finally he got that kingdom and he ruled for 1 year. After that Akbar came to rule from 1556 to 1605, and after Akbar many another like Jahangir came to rule. Dear students, about Jahangir we will discuss in our next class. Thank you so much.